Most people are not sufficiently diversified when it comes to financial investments. So I went through different asset classes, and that's, to be honest, how I got stuck with art. Art by now is certainly the largest asset class that on the one hand is still actually diversifying, and number two, that the entry barriers are so high that most people can't get in. So what we do at Partasio really is to enable people for the first time to add top quality art to their financial portfolio, thereby diversifying a financial portfolio, generating good risk-adjusted returns. And then there's this additional attractive element of the whole cultural, emotional, intellectual aspect of art.
This is AssetRush Talk, where we talk with the pioneers of the financial system. Today I have a wonderful guest that is talking about the art markets and how to make it investable. It's Pascal from Partasio. Please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Philip. My name is Pascal Schneidinger. I'm the founder and CEO of Partasio, from Zurich originally, but I went to the university in the US, and then I spent quite a long time in New York and London working in investment banking and private equity. Then I moved to Shanghai, where I started a company in a very different field, and came back to Switzerland about 4 years ago to start Partasio.
Okay, so you talked about products and diversification of portfolios and also the proof that you found. You want to say a word or two more about the proof you found?
If you look at the art market historically, a lot of ultra net worth individuals have had a lot of exposure to top quality art for many, many generations, and they've made a lot of money from it. Given the size, given the dynamics, it's the right time to open up that market so that more people have this opportunity.
Now, the art market is known that it's been very well performing and also very stable over the last years. That was not always the case. How does that look for you in the future, or how do you see that business evolving?
The reality is 90-95% of the art market may have some cultural, emotional value, but the financial value is actually zero. Right? So we strongly believe that if you invest with financial considerations in mind, you should focus on the absolute top segment. Yeah. And there, that market actually is quite boring. These are the ultra net worth individuals. They use it as part of the asset allocation, like gold. You know, It's a capital preservation, it's a real asset, inflation protection, and therefore there's quite low volatility in that segment. That, I think, is actually not going to change, at least in the near to medium term.
So what are your next moves with the company?
We want to grow. We want to show people that having top quality art should be part of a financial asset allocation. And the reality is, for the vast majority of our target investors at the moment, it's zero. But in reality, you should put somewhere between 3, 4, and 5% of your money into this. So the market opportunity for us is massive because we're the only professional player here.
Pascal, you claimed lately in NZZ, a very famous newspaper here, that everybody can be, so to say, profiting from a Cézanne or from a Warhol painting. Is that the effect you want to have?
I think everyone is a very strong word, to be honest, right? But I think if you reach a certain level of disposable income, wealth, etc., yes, absolutely, I do think it should be part of your asset allocation.
How do you see that in comparison to having it on your wall or in your living room? I mean, oftentimes I could imagine, especially in art, it has a feature of wanting to possess that certain element, that certain piece.
So collectors who are in this really ultra net worth individual segments, for them what we're doing is not interesting at all. You know, as you said correctly, they'd rather hang it at their home. But the vast majority of people do not have the financial means to do that, right? So yes, you can say, should I buy a painting for $1,000 or $2,000, or should I invest into this structure? But I don't think that's the right thought, actually, because the first, you do it for purely emotional, maybe cultural reasons, but you should not do it for investment reasons, because most likely it's going to be a terrible investment, right? Whereas what we do is hopefully a very good investment with an interesting cultural, emotional impact. So the thinking is more, should I buy a few more Nestle or whatever stock, or should I invest in this? That's really the process that you should think about.
Okay, I would agree. Yeah, and it certainly has a better value in terms of diversification and culture.
Yes.
You mentioned in an interview with 20 Minutes, actually, the largely non-transparent art market, so to say, has to find new grounds and new opportunities.
Correct.
So tell us a little bit more about that.
The art market by now is the largest legal insider market that still exists. Inefficiency is a massive challenge, but it could be a massive opportunity. We really take advantage of the inefficiency by only going through off-market channels when we buy paintings. So we don't buy at fairs, and what is quite extreme, we don't even buy paintings that ever traded at auction. So we only go direct through our global network, which means we don't pay the crazy high commissions you have in the art market. We have the ability to buy at quite significant discounts to market value, which reduces your risk, increases your potential returns, and that's what generates the attractive risk-adjusted returns. Okay. And that's the crazy thing.
What is the range? Is it paintings only? Is it sculptures? What is the scope?
We only focus on paintings. We only focus on paintings after World War II, because as soon as you focus on all the art, your Cézannes, etc. of this world, you could face very serious due diligence issues. Documentation oftentimes not perfect. You have the entire risk of where was the art during World War II, which is a very big topic in Europe. And you really run the risk of buying a fake. And those are two risks that we simply think you should exclude from your investments.
There was a movie, I remember, the Price of Everything. I guess you're familiar with it. It was an art documentary about the art market. A very blunt documentation about that there is always an element of price in cultural heritage. How would you relate to that?
I obviously completely agree, right? I think you need to find the right combination. I think you should not look at art as a pure financial product, because it's more like this, more than that, but it's not a purely cultural asset either. It's really a combination. That's what makes it particularly attractive.
And do you find yourself in a situation that you have an emotional attachment to everything you invest in?
So I think if you make investment decisions emotionally, you're a really bad investor, because you're going to make stupid mistakes.
In art, it could be different, though.
No, so the way we approach this, we exclude emotions 100%. We try to be very analytical in how we approach our investment decisions. And then once we've purchased a painting, then you build this whole emotional framework around it. I think that's the correct approach, or at least the approach that we're having.
Okay, but that's a very interesting place to be, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Then again, that's very fascinating. We give all of our investors mini versions of all the paintings they invested in with easels, so they can put it on the desk, etc. And we often get feedback from investors, I really love this painting, or I really don't like this painting at all. But I'm very excited to learn more about the artist and why this artist created this type of painting.
So it adds another dimension to
Absolutely, it's fascinating.
Okay.
To make it a little bit clearer in terms of investment universe, for us, an artist is long-term relevant or top quality if he or she are long-term relevant, both from a financial and art historical perspective. And to really define who is truly long-term relevant, we created about 10 parameters, both quantitative and qualitative.
Tell me.
Yeah, on the qualitative side, these are things like, is the artist represented by a large international gallery? Or very important, is the artist globally relevant? Meaning we only focus on artists who are relevant in North America, Europe, and Asia. Relevant means, are you in the big museums? Are you in the big collections? Are you really part of art history? On the quantitative side, these are things like sales amounts over extended periods of time, auction records, etc. So these are very clearly defined parameters, and only if you meet these parameters are you part of our focus group. And there are only about 40 artists in the world who meet our criteria, so it's a very narrow, very focused investment universe.
How will art investment change over the next couple of years?
People underestimate, at least in the art market, how strong the existing players are and how much they benefit from the opacity of the market. So I'm not actually a believer that the market will become a lot more transparent over time. I think it will become more global, and we try to give more access. It will still be an insider market. That's why you need to work with professional players who have your interests in mind.
Yeah, it will become more popular, I assume.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
That doesn't mean it becomes more transparent.
Correct.
Saying.
If you invest into such markets, whether that's the art market or anything else, you need to work with partners who have 100% alignment of interest with you. And especially in markets that are opaque, like the art market, there are tons of conflicts of interest. So it's super important that you create a structure and a team where there's full alignment of interest. And then, even though the market is opaque, you as an individual investor can participate because you know that the insider has your interests in mind. That's for me the key aspect.
What is the impact that you want to achieve now, apart from maybe only diversification? What do you really want to bring to investors, and in which scale?
As someone who has not been a collector per se previously, I always say when I go to museums, I feel quite overwhelmed with just the amount of works that are for display. And when you leave, you forget most of it. We try to create small portfolios of top quality art and then proactively provide educational content about the artists and about the paintings that people invest in. And that gives people the opportunity to really learn in a focused way. That's one of the key aspects.
Okay, so it has an educational and also cultural value to that, which you support. And of course, with that, make it investable to others, which is, of course, a great place to be. But now, what were the challenges of building that up, or what kind of failures did you face in that period?
You need to combine the financial world and the art world. And these are two totally different worlds with totally different types of personalities. And we've really brought together a team that is very strong on the financial side and on the art side. So I would say that's, from a business perspective, the biggest challenge. From an operating perspective, the biggest challenge is we're introducing something new to the market. And new for most people automatically means high risk. So we need to do a lot of education. So we try to talk to as many people as we can. And again, we try to educate. We also do a lot of events and exhibitions where we really try to showcase the dynamics of the art market and what our solution brings to investors.
You brought financial experts and art experts together. Where did you get to know these people? How did you build your trust with them?
The core team is really only 3 people. So it's me, and I have 2 art experts who've been doing this for 20 and 25 years each. I really spent 2 years doing a lot of due diligence about the market, speaking with every possible art experts in the world I could meet. And those are really the 2 people where I felt they combine the expertise that we need and kind of the human aspect that I want, and the drive and the passion.
And then I also learned that Martin Scholl is now part of your advisory board.
Right.
He was managing Zürcher Kantonalbank, a very important person and known figure here in Switzerland. What is it adding to your cause?
So also here, I think while Martin, and we have another person in the advisory board, Eric Pfister, who also was the CEO of a couple banks, what they really bring to the table is credibility, because they've both been very accomplished in the financial world, at least in Switzerland. And second, they really help us with some strategic discussions with the big banks.
Wonderful. So last but not least, what artwork had the most impact on yourself? Like, if you will go back in time, what artist and what artwork would you name?
From our investment portfolio, to be honest, the one artist that I find the most fascinating and I can really learn from a lot is Adrian Geni. He's a Romanian artist. He's actually probably the youngest of our focus group artists. So he's in his late 40s, which is very young for a so-called blue chip artist. And he is very engaged with philosophy and society and culture. And he strongly believes that social media is very bad for our society. And he makes, or at least he created a series accordingly, where he shows humans interacting with phones, computers, iPads, etc., and slowly disintegrating into monsters. And that's, for me, very interesting and fascinating. And that's maybe not to your question, but it's a good bridge to the business. One thing I really enjoy about the business, it's a people business.
Yeah.
In the end, it's a relationship business, it's a people business. You need to work with people you like, you need to meet new people, you need to educate people, and that's super fascinating.
Yeah, and I hope that certainly will spread the word now also over our channels, and certainly yours, and find its way to the right people, that you can build more of that, what you're building, and certainly connect with more of the people that you need.
Thank you, Philip.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.